Okay. Why? What does that mean? Okay. Is this you? Excuse me. Oh, so we're gonna get going. We have a couple people on YouTube. Um, so if you are on YouTube, uh, just feel free to put something in the chat if you have a question. Or I'm on the wrong channel. No, I'm on the right channel. Hold on a second. Sorry, still working things out here. There we go. Okay, very good. So, if you are on YouTube, I do have the chat uh, available to me. Hey, Liz. So you can put questions, comments in the chat, and I will do my best to pay attention to that and answer any questions or comments you may have. Um, right now, we just want to settle in for a moment, getting mind and body together. Pensando sempre rapshiri sem pamakarajabani shuna susuru natijanda saso kedalamana naso. Okay. So we want to begin with our bodhicitta motivation, thinking about, so bodhicitta, for those of you who may not know, is a Sanskrit word. Bodhi means awakened or enlightened. And citta means the mind and heart together. So bodhicitta is literally enlightened or awakened mind, heart. And what it signifies is the wish to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. And that whole idea begins with compassion when we are seeing the suffering of beings. And unfortunately, it's quite easy to notice as it is so prevalent. Um, we feel compassion for them. We want them to be free of that suffering. And if we can do something about it, we want to do something about it. So that's just compassion. And then we add to that the wisdom of the teachings that explains the cause of suffering is fundamental ignorance about the nature of reality, how things actually are, how we exist or don't exist, how what is the cause of suffering and things like that. And that in order to remove at the root that cause, we need to attain enlightenment. So that is the our purpose, right? That's really the whole thrust of this entire path is to attain enlightenment for the benefit of others. So if that seems like maybe too far away for you or too, I don't know, too big of a concept or something, that's okay. At least if we could think, may the time that we spend together this morning benefit, not only myself, but others as well. So I'll give you a moment just to generate that from the heart. Okay. Excuse me. So this morning, I'd like to discuss how to put the teachings into practice. Okay. We talk a lot about, we have our formal session on the cushion, or we are receiving teachings, from a lama, or we're reading a book or whatever, right? We have access to the teachings, okay? And then we have the practice that we do, sitting on our cushion or our chair, our formal practice. And then there's the rest of the day. Okay. So it's this rest of the day. What do we do with the rest of the day? It's easy to say, oh, you just, you bring those teachings into practice, or you bring those, you continue your practice for throughout the day. But what does that mean, practically speaking, right? We have to look at what that means in practical terms. Okay. So I want to bring up some examples in daily life where we can be practicing all the time, even when we're not on our cushion. Okay. And this is especially important for Westerners. We have very, very hectic and busy lives filled to the brim with distraction. And I would say, uh, objectively speaking, that it is harder today to practice than it was in the time of the Buddha. I mean, even Dzongtsar Khyentse Rinpoche mentions that, you know, in the time of the Buddha, there wasn't, you know, the internet and, television and this crazy kind of work week that we have. And, what he's mentioned, like billboards everywhere and just kind of everything in our faces all the time. So we don't have that sort of peaceful environment, right? And we have a lot of pressures. We have societal pressures, family pressures, peer pressures, and so forth, right? That can easily not just make it hard to practice, but make us forget altogether that we even wanted to practice, that we're even on this path, you know? So I having some concrete examples like what I'm going to discuss now um, can be really, really helpful in carrying the practice over into your daily life. It's also like a matter of time, right? Even if we manage to practice, let's say, 4 hours a day, let's say we manage that. Let's say we manage to practice 4 hours a day. Well, what are we doing the other 20 hours? You know, 8 of those at least are sleeping if we sleep well, right? 8 of those are sleeping. Okay. So that's 12 hours left in the day. What are we doing with those 12 hours? What are we doing with our mind in those 12 hours? So let's think in practical terms. Okay. So I just want to give a few examples. Um, and a very easy one is it's good to choose like things that you do on a daily basis or at least on a regular basis. Okay. So one thing that I often talk about is just brushing your teeth. Like we can practice while we're brushing our teeth. Okay, what does that mean? How do we do that? Okay. Basically, like throughout the day, no matter what we're doing, a basis is just mindfulness. Okay. Awareness. What exactly are we doing? Are we with what we're doing? Are we attentive to the action that we're taking? Okay. If you think about normally when you're brushing your teeth, where's your mind? Look at where is your mind? You know, it's almost never in that present moment, right? Let's say you're brushing your teeth at night, you're thinking about the day that just passed, or you're thinking about tomorrow, or you're thinking about whatever, what you had for dinner, or what somebody said to you. You're not really in the present moment. So just trying to pay attention to whatever it is that you're doing, okay, whether it's brushing your teeth or cooking a meal or driving your car or whatever, is practice. That is practice. When we do mindfulness of breathing practice, that's mindfulness practice. So we're applying that mindfulness in our daily life is just simply paying attention. I'm brushing my teeth, you know, what is that? What is that sensation? Right? What is the sensation of the water, of the toothpaste, of the toothbrush on my teeth? What is the taste? What is the smell? Right? What is the action that is taking place? And this is surprisingly something quite enjoyable if we really do it, you know? Um, we want to try to stay away from it being very um, sort of dry and heavy, right? We don't want to go there. Just like it's interesting, actually, if you start to really pay attention to these things. So, right now, I'm just talking about brushing your teeth, but this applies to everything that you can do in your life. So, that's one thing, just mindfulness. Another thing that we can contemplate in any activity that we're doing is impermanence. So again, we take the brushing your teeth example. Impermanence. you know every time that we brush our teeth, the toothbrush is getting worn down a little bit. We don't notice it in the moment, right? But that toothbrush is getting worn down a little bit. The toothpaste tube is getting a little bit emptier, right? And we're that much older, right? We don't see, from the morning when we brush our teeth to the evening when we brush our teeth, we don't see that change, but that change is there. We're 18 hours older, or however many hours between the last time we brushed our teeth and this time we brushed our teeth. This is your, these are bones. This is your skeleton, so we can think about that. The gums you know, are receding, right? So you can think about, while you're brushing your teeth, you can think about like the history of your teeth, how when you were little, you know, all those teeth fell out and you got new teeth, and how you didn't have any cavities and then you did, and then the root canals and the bridges and the caps and the crowns and all the money flowing into your dentist pocket, right? You think about the impermanence of your bank account while you're thinking about your teeth. Personally, I think I have more money in my mouth than in my bank account, but there you go. Okay, so you think about impermanence in brushing your teeth. Okay, you can think about compassion. Oh, that's weird. How would you think about compassion in brushing your teeth? Easy. It's easy. You know, think about, for example, like dental care. You know, every time I go to the dentist, I'm of course I don't love being there. Nobody does, but I'm always grateful. Always, always grateful. I'm so happy that we have dental care. You know, I'm so happy that somebody came up with this science of taking care of our teeth, you know, and that I have access to it, and that, I can pay for it to have my teeth fixed, and that these people work so hard to go through school and study and, how to do this amazing skill of taking care of our teeth. Not everybody has that, you know? When you think about like homeless people, this is one of the major problems that they have. It's just basic hygiene. It's so hard for them, you know, to um, find somewhere where they can brush their teeth or take a shower or have a shave, this sort of thing, right? So we can have compassion for them. We can have compassion for people who, can't afford uh, oral care. This sort of stereotype of hill people, let's say, right? Of not having any teeth. People kind of like to make fun of that. It's horrible. They don't have teeth because they can't afford to get them fixed, you know? And I have uh, lost a tooth in the past where I did not have access to a dentist. And it was extraordinarily painful. It's very, very painful to uh, lose a tooth in that way, you know? So we can generate compassion. Or when you think about animals, um, so many animals have teeth, some of them don't, like birds, whatever. But if something goes wrong with their teeth, they can't do anything about it, right? So we can generate compassion when we're brushing our teeth. Um, we can feel joy in the way that I just described, right? That kind of joyful feeling of appreciation and gratitude for what we have and this ability that we have to take care of our teeth. Um, um, we can think about the illusory nature of all things. So, you know, we're brushing our teeth and we think that we're the same person that we were this morning when we were brushing our teeth. Not, related to, but not exactly the same as this idea of impermanence, right? Of course, impermanence is a factor in that, but like, where is this person? Think in those terms. Like, I was brushing my teeth this morning, I'm brushing my teeth this evening. Where's the person from this morning, right? So think about this kind of thing. Or like, what are the parts and pieces of my toothbrush? You know, when does it stop becoming a toothbrush? When does it start becoming a toothbrush? All of those different parts have parts, and all of those parts have parts. So we can think about all of those things while we're brushing our teeth. Okay. So that's just one example, you know. I mean, if we go through all these examples, we might be brushing our teeth for like 2 hours. So, you know, maybe make a list or a plan, sort of what you're going to do. But it's the same with anything and everything that we do. You know, when we're driving, if we have a problem with being patient when we're driving, right, we can think about uh, uh, having compassion for the other people on the road. You know, we never know what somebody's going through. You know, we don't know um what someone else's life is, you know. And sometimes we get very frustrated at old people when they're driving, right? They're going too slow, or they're making the wrong choices, or what have you, on the road. Rather than getting angry at them, can we have compassion for them, and just think, wow, it's so sad, that this person um has to drive, doesn't have somebody to drive them. That we don't, unfortunately, live in a country that has a lot of public transport where it'd be easier for elderly people to get around, or people that insist on driving because they don't want to lose that freedom. Which, like, I'm personally a strong believer that people should be tested after a certain age. They should be tested every year, you know, um, because it's so unsafe, to have impaired drivers of any kind on the road. But I'm also very sympathetic to the idea that it's it's so difficult here, and it's very hard to face aging and losing your freedom and not being able to do the things that you used to do when you were younger. So that's an example of having compassion, while we're driving. And of course, mindfulness, paying attention, breathing, you know, contemplating impermanence, right? It's impermanence. We can do impermanence all day, every day while we're driving. Your tires are getting worn down, gas is getting a little bit less, etc. If all the engine parts are getting a little more worn, your battery is doing whatever batteries do, right? The road itself is getting worn down. In Cleveland, we see that very clearly with all the potholes and such that appear over the winter, right? So these are the ways that we can carry the practice into our daily life. We just have to be a little creative, you know, and we can make little notes for ourselves. We can put on the microwave, or the bathroom mirror, or the dashboard in our car, and just say, this a little list, impermanence, compassion, illusory nature, patience, mindfulness, joy, and just try to think, oh, how can I apply those things? then we're then we're practicing all the time. So then it's less important, that we don't have 12 hours a day to sit in meditation or do retreat or these kind of things. Okay, so before we go on to meditation, are there any questions about this? No? Okay. All right. So let's do some meditation then. All right. I'm going to begin with mindfulness of breathing practice. So I'm going to go through the instructions because I don't know who's on YouTube, but I know everybody here in Zoom knows full well and could explain themselves, I'm sure. I'm going to do this practice, but anyway. So if you're sitting on the floor or you're sitting on your bed, you just want to make sure that your legs are crossed in whatever way is most comfortable for you. Okay. And otherwise, if you're sitting in a chair, you want your feet flat on the floor in front of you. All the other instructions are the same. So your hands can be either palms down on your knees or your thighs, or resting one on top of the other like this in your lap, or with your fingers on top of each other and your thumbs touching like that, whatever you prefer. Arms are relaxed. Back is straight but relaxed. That's really the most important thing in the meditation posture is the back. So the back of the neck is also straight, so the chin's going to be tucked in a little bit. Shoulders should be back a little bit, so just pull back the shoulders, and you'll see right away that it opens up the chest. Mouth is closed but relaxed, tongue resting on the roof of the mouth. Breathing through the nose. Eyes open, looking down in front of you a few feet. So a relaxed, lowered, unfocused gaze. Now that's the posture. And this posture supports the mind in meditation because of the mind-body connection. So what we're doing with our mind is we are trying to maintain awareness of the breath coming in and out of the nose. So just bring your awareness to that for a moment. So ideally, we are maintaining a continuous awareness of the breath, of that sensation. And we're letting the thoughts just come and go as they will. Just let them be. We're not trying to push them away. We're not trying to stop them. We're not judging them. Just letting them be, keeping the mind on the breath. When we get distracted, simply bring the mind back to the breath. Okay? So please begin that now. Or you can begin to count the breaths, counting either every inhalation or every exhalation, up to a total of 10 complete breaths. Counting helps us to realize more quickly when we've gotten distracted. So as soon as we realize that, just bring the mind back and start again at 1. You get to 10, don't let that distract you. Just go back, start again at 1. Please begin that now. Bring your mind back to the breath. Check your posture. Body should be as relaxed as possible while maintaining the posture. Mind should be as relaxed as possible while maintaining awareness of the breath. Okay, so let's end this meditation now. Yeah. uh, I'm just laughing because Daryl made a comment. He's always late. It's all right. Everybody's late. Uh, all right. Any questions or comments about this meditation before we go on to the next thing? No? All right. So we're going to do the Tonglen practice now, which is the practice of exchange. Okay. Excuse me. Um, so Tonglen means giving and receiving, and this practice is designed specifically for generating compassion, okay, towards others. And with the understanding that the main obstacle towards having compassion towards others is putting ourselves first, okay, is kind of, yes, mostly just putting ourselves first. So it's really important to understand from the Buddhist point of view what the understanding of compassion is, what the meaning of compassion is, okay, and what it is not. So, um, you know, in our society, we often see compassion as a weakness, a stance of weakness. Um, if we're compassionate, then we are going to be bulldozed over. We're going to be taken advantage of. We're a sucker, you know. Um, People are just going to walk all over us. This is kind of the impression we have about being compassionate. Whereas the opposite is actually true. Having a compassionate stance, in general, developing a compassionate heart, is a much stronger um, place than responding in anger or self-centeredness or some kind of combative energy. Okay. Um, when we are compassionate, compassion is a stance of the heart. It's a stance of the heart mind, right? Um, we can, um, we can set boundaries um, uh, from a place of compassion, right? It doesn't mean that we have to just let people walk all over us. It doesn't mean that we have to accept the negative things that people do in our life or, just in the world in general. But we can have compassion for them. You see what I mean? So it's not um, it's a stance. It's like a point of view. It's a position that we're taking in a sense. Um, okay, so when people think of compassion in this way of like being bulldozed or whatever, they're thinking of what Buddhists call idiot compassion. Okay, in a sense. So idiot compassion is when you let people just walk all over you because you're trying to be nice. It's when you don't stop abuse because you're trying to be nice and trying to be such a good little Buddhist. It's when um things like just giving a kid candy all day because that's what they want, and you think you're being kind, but you're not. You're actually being unkind in the end to that child. So it's that kind of thing. So I see on social media mostly um, this kind of very strong push towards not considering others, towards only considering oneself. And being very aggressive about that, and sort of, if compassion comes up at all, it's about self-compassion. And self-compassion is important, and it is part of this practice of Tonglen, is having compassion for oneself. Absolutely, we should have compassion for oneself, but not exclusively compassion for oneself. That's like where I'm coming from, which it seems like that's kind of the only way that compassion is used, is having compassion for ourselves, you know. So Daryl here's commenting self-cherishing versus exchange and equalizing self and others, right? You know. So one of the in Shantideva's text, The Way of the Bodhisattva, he talks about, we're the same as others. Like we think, sort of, we have this tendency with this habit of thinking that we are more important than others. And it's a habit. Like if somebody came up to you and said, "Oh, do you think you're more important than everybody else?" Like, of course, we would all say, "No, I don't think that." But if we look at how we behave, yeah, kind of maybe we think that. So the first thing, that he's saying, Shantideva says, is like, but just realize that others are as important as you. Others have the same desires, the same sufferings, the same, you know, um, desire to be free of suffering, desire to be happy and so forth. Like it's the same. There's nothing that makes us more important than anybody else. Like that's something to realize. So this Tonglen practice is part of that whole process. There's really quite a lot to say about this practice, but if I talk too much more, we won't have any time to do the practice. So today we're going to just do this practice for someone that we love. It's the easiest, and it's usually where we start. So um, mm, I won't explain it more. We'll just go through it. Okay. So please take the posture again. But in this practice, if you want to close your eyes, that's fine. It's a different type of practice. We're really going into the heart here, more than just dealing with the mind, um, from a Western point of view, anyway. Okay. All right. So begin by just, again, being aware of the breath coming in and out of the nose. And then just let the mind settle. So you're not focusing on the breath, at the same time, not being distracted. Just let the mind settle into its natural state. And you want to imagine in your heart center, so it's the middle of your chest, a very bright white light like a shining star. Then consider that you're breathing in gray smoke, hot, dark, and heavy, through all the pores of your body. All of that smoke dissolving into the white light in your heart center. So there's not a single particle of smoke left, there's only light. And you're breathing out this white light, cool and clear, very bright. through all the pores of your body, the light going in all directions. And now imagine in front of you someone that you love a great deal. This person can be alive or they can have already passed. Just imagine them facing you. Then really go into your heart and feel the love you have for this person, the appreciation you have for them, how dear they are to you. And feel the love they have for you as well. And then consider the ways in which this person is suffering or did suffer when they were alive. And don't just think about it, but really try to feel like, what does it feel like for them to have to go through that? Maybe they're physically ill or have other physical problems. Maybe they have mental health issues like depression or anxiety. Maybe they're having trouble in their marriage or with their work, whatever it is. Try to really feel like, what does it feel like for them to have to endure that? And then, because we love them so much, we naturally want to remove that suffering. We want them to be happy and without suffering. So we imagine that all their suffering, whatever it is, takes the form of gray smoke, hot, dark, and heavy. It leaves them and it comes to you, and you breathe that in with so much love. Just breathe that in through all the pores of your body. And all of that smoke just dissolves into the white light in your heart center until there's not a single particle of smoke left. There's only light. And then you offer this person your own happiness. Consider that you're giving it away, your own good fortune, anything at all that they may need to feel better, to be healthy, to be happy, along with the wish that they attain full enlightenment in this very lifetime. And all of that takes the form of white light, cool and clear, very bright. You breathe out this white light through all the pores of your body, and the rays of light go towards this person that you love so much. And when the rays of light touch them, their suffering just lifts off of them and disappears. And they feel so relieved to be free of this burden, happy, relaxed, and you feel joyful for being able to do this for them. Now we're going to do that same process, all sentient beings. First, imagining them all around, in front, as many beings as you can imagine, stretching all the way to the horizon. To the right, as many beings as you can imagine, again, all the way to the horizon. Behind you, same thing. countless sentient beings all the way to the horizon and to your left again, all the way to the horizon. And now you're surrounded by infinite sentient beings. And we want to do what Shantideva suggests. Consider that we are the same in wanting to be happy, in wanting to be free of suffering, and yet we suffer nonetheless. So, out of compassion for all of them, we imagine all their suffering, physical, mental, emotional, whatever it is, takes the form of gray smoke, heavy, dark, and hot. And you breathe that in through all the pores of your body, all of that smoke dissolving into the white light in your heart center. So there's not a single particle of smoke left. There's only light. And then you offer all these beings your own happiness. Consider you're giving it away, giving it to them, along with anything that they may need to feel better. And adding to that the wish that they attain full enlightenment in this life. And all of that takes the form of white light, clean, clear, very bright. You breathe that out through all the pores of your body. Every single pore emanating a ray of white light, cool, clean, clear, very bright, as far as the eye can see in every direction. And when these rays of light touch all these beings, each individually, their suffering just lifts off of them and disappears like fog in the morning sun. And they feel so relieved and happy to finally be free of this burden of suffering. And you feel joyful for being able to do this for them. When you let go of the visualization altogether, gently bringing the mind back to the breath, using the breath to bring and keep the mind in the present moment, here and now. Okay. Now we're going to do the closing prayers. You can download them. If you're on YouTube, you can download them in the description box below. I will share my screen just in case you haven't done that. Okay. So these are long life prayers we say for our teachers, and these we say one time just in Tibetan. Anri Wawei Kowe Shinkan Su Pendang Dewa Malu Juwe Nei Chenre Simon Tinsing Kim Sui Sapega Gaba Tu Tenkyo Shi Om Swasti Jigme Kempe Kalong Yambaru Lugab Se Chen Su Se Bundawa Ito Tu Sanam Gaino Bucho Se Chiga Wei Shaki Dansu So Om Swasti Saragam Swachanam Tunjuli Lazinda Sagan Trupamo Samsun Nadre Gyapota Tene Lachantan Shaitan Tagesho Lama Gungam Sambo Sawada Chutu Putseri Wasawada Fine Tashin Gepa Sawada Lama Dandre Wame Bachin Gido. So then this prayer is Tibetan, the remaining three we say just in English, and then we say the 100th syllable mantra. By this merit, may all attain omniscience, may defeat the enemy, wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of cyclic existence, may I free all beings. Sonandi tamche sepani, togne nepe tonan tamche shing, kekana chi balon trupai, sepe sole joa sho. May bodhicitta, precious and sublime, arise where it has not yet come to be, and where it has arisen, may it never fail, but grow and flourish ever more and more. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may it too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. Ever absorbed in the display of divine forms in primordial awareness, appearance, sound, and perception in the state of divinities, mantras, and dharmakaya, may I, inseparable from the practice of the profound and secret great yoga, attain within the essence of mind the state of one taste. And then mantra. Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Tenoka Ishtadrito Me Bhava Sutokayo Me Bhava Supokayo Me Bhava Anuragto Me Bhava Sawasiri Me Prayatsa Sawakama Sutsa Me Titam Shri Yang Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Agawan Sawadata Gata Vajrama Memunsa Vajrita Maha Samaya Sado. Oh, okay. All right. So thanks everybody for joining me this morning on Zoom and YouTube. And I will see some of you this week and some of you on Saturday. Bye. Bye. Have a good day. Enjoy your weekend.
You too.